All right, I'm going to start with story time. A few months ago, I had a founder who pushed back on my pitch hard. Oh, he had time that he told me that he disagreed with my argument about thought leadership wholeheartedly and then gave me a baseball team analogy to explain why. He wasn't wrong with this analogy, but his pushback taught me something about health tech founders that I thought I would make this video about. Most of the founders who are posting on LinkedIn right now are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Your content is clear and your point of view is real, but none of it is building you. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what I learned from that pitch exchange that I just mentioned. It didn't go the way I planned, but it revealed a problem that I keep on seeing with health tech founders who are doing the work on LinkedIn and still feel like it's not compounding into anything. In addition to my content strategy work, I also work with health tech founders and executives on thought leadership content. And one thing I keep running into, regardless of the company size, stage, or how long someone has been posting, is a big difference between what the content is actually doing and who it's actually building. So we're going to talk about why that is and what to do about it. Let's go. Just to be clear, this video is for executives who are already posting on LinkedIn, not those of you that need to be convinced about whether or not you should. Now, maybe you're getting some engagement on your posts. Maybe your company's getting traction, but does your LinkedIn feed feel like it's actually building you or your company? Your content is doing PR for the company, not you. Your posts are advancing your company's position in the market. It's not building your own intellectual property as the person behind that success. Those are two different things, even if you think that they're identical. But my posts are about my perspective. Sure, and this could still happen anyway. The question is, whose authority does the content build? Think about the last 5 posts that you published. When someone reads those posts, who did they learn more about? You as a thinker or your company as a solution? If it's mostly the latter, you're not alone. I'll tell you why and how to adjust that framing. This scenario is super common with health tech founders, and it makes sense. I get it. Your mission is very important. There's a big reason why you started your company. The stakes are high. You're building something that touches patient outcomes, provider workflows, or the financial infrastructure of care. So the instinct to make every post about what you're building, who it's helping, and why your approach is the right one isn't wrong. It actually serves a purpose. But what I'm saying is, there's a problem if that's the only kind of content you're creating. What you end up with is a LinkedIn presence that reads as a company feed with a person's name on it. The people following you are tracking your company, so they're not following you as a thinker. When someone reads one of your posts, the authority lands on the organization. So you're the spokesperson for the mission, but not the thinker behind it. Look, people follow people. People might love brands, but they want to know the people behind the brands. It's the same thing for health tech. People invest in people, they join teams because of people, and they refer business to people, not to companies and brands per se. A company narrative only builds the company. A founder's voice that has a point of view that exists independently of the product that they're making builds a network that follows them wherever the work goes. And that whole network feeds back into the company. So it's not an either-or situation. You could build both, and you should. The baseball analogy that the founder gave me was Yankees is bigger than Alex Rodriguez. And I get it, he's right. Teams are very important, right? But the Yankees also benefited from Alex Rodriguez being Alex Rodriguez and having his own thing going on. So the Yankees can get more people in the door because of who A-Rod is, not just what the team did. And that's the dynamic that's missing in most founder feeds. Here's the question that you should ask yourself to find out which category you're in. If you walked away from your company tomorrow, would any of your content come with you? And I'm not talking about your company's content, your content. The arguments you've been making, the frameworks that you've named, the way you frame the problem that your company exists to solve. Does any of that live in your posts as your thinking? Or does it live there as evidence of what your company believes? Really think about that for a second. Oh, of course my thinking is in there. I wrote every word. Well, maybe, and I'm not talking about necessarily a ghostwriter because I am that. But the question isn't who wrote it. It's whether or not that thinking, the frameworks behind everything, come from you as the person, not the company context. If you left tomorrow and a new CEO took over, would your followers notice a difference in the content, or would the feed look basically the same with just a different name on it? If you can't answer that question clearly, then you might be building the company's brand only. Sometimes it's easier to see this play out in someone else's feed rather than your own. So let me get back to that story that I told you in the beginning. I reached out to a founder recently because he's a sharp thinker with an active LinkedIn presence. He has a framework for the problem his company exists to solve that's genuinely compelling. His posts are consistent and his engagement is solid. He answered my comment. So everything from the outside told me that this person has something that's worth saying, and more of us need to hear it. But when I looked at the feed as a whole, every post was doing the same job. Explaining the company's approach, building trust in the mission, attracting operators who might want to join the team. It's all useful and it's good as far as company content goes, but none of it was building him. No one who's reading those posts was developing a relationship with him as a thinker. But they probably follow him because they want to know what he thinks about the industry, separate from what his company is doing to fix it. His ideas are strong and his framing was organizational. So here's what to look for in your own feed. Do your posts explain your company's approach without staking out your personal position on the industry? Do you share wins, milestones, and team moments, but rarely post the argument that you would make if you left the company tomorrow? Is your point of view out there always in service of the product, but never independent of it? There's a difference between a post that says, here's why my product works, or here's why our approach works, and a post that says, here's what I think is fundamentally broken about X, Y, Z, and why. The former builds the company, while the latter builds you. I've made my argument about why you should build in public with your own thinking and not just the company's. But I want to make something very clear. This is not about personal branding. Personal branding involves aesthetics, positioning, and visibility metrics. But what I'm talking about is intellectual ownership. Are you building a body of work with arguments, frameworks, and observations that compound over time, regardless of what happens to the company? That's what authority is. It's not the number of followers you have. It's whether someone who reads your content consistently has a sense of how you think, what you would say about a new study, how you'd frame a policy change, where you would push back on a conventional narrative. That takes time to build, but you can always start today, and it accumulates if the content is yours. As a health tech founder, you're sitting on a body of knowledge that's hard to replicate. You know what's broken in care coordination, or clinical AI adoption, or patient engagement at scale, not because you've just been reading about it, because you're in it and you're building a solution. Isn't that insight worth more than just product announcements? Your take on what's being oversold in your category, what the data actually says versus what the conference presentations claim, and what you've tried that didn't work, is the content that builds authority. And that's what people remember you for. Here's a simple test to ask yourself. Could this post exist if your company didn't? If the answer is yes, then you're building yourself. But if it only makes sense in the context of your company, then that's who you're building. If you want to go deeper on whether or not your content is doing commercial work and not just awareness work, watch this video on how to use a contrarian content strategy. Many professionals are afraid to have a strong opinion because they think it'll alienate their potential clients. So they stick to safe topics. They play it safe. They share quotes from famous people. They post things that no one could possibly disagree with. But here's the thing. If no one can disagree with you, no one will remember you either. Playing it safe makes you forgettable, and it actively repels the clients you want.